Have you heard about the mysterious red news that recently arrived in Israel? It sounds like a scene from a movie, but it's real. 5 perfect specimens, carefully selected, have landed in the heart of the Holy Land. Now, the world's eyes are on Jerusalem, where the revival of ancient rituals and the possible construction of the Third Temple raise more questions than answers. What does this mean for Jews? For Christians? For the geopolitics surrounding the Middle East? Some say this is just another episode on the stage of history, but others see it as the application of ancient prophecies. If you're curious to understand the meanings behind this event and how it could change the world's rumors, get ready. On this journey, we'll unravel the layers of symbolism, implications, and strategies that revolve around this issue. And be careful. The implications may be much greater than you imagine. But after all, what makes these new developments such a remarkable sign, and what is their true connection to the Third Temple? Read on and find out. Red novelties always carry a deep symbolism, intertwined with the history and faith of the Jewish people. Did you know that, according to tradition, these novelties cannot have a single hair of another color? Well, the requirement for perfection symbolizes absolute, essential for the purification rituals described in Numbers 19 of the Old Testament. Imagine a meticulous search to find an animal like this. It is no wonder that these novelties have become a landmark of hope and spiritual renewal. Now, think of the effort to transport 5 perfect specimens to Israel. We are not talking just about logistics, but about a movement full of religious and historical significance. Each of these novelties is seen as a key piece in reviving ancient rituals, which have been adorned for centuries. For Jews, this is not just about the present. It is about reconnecting with an ancestral tradition that echoes promises of redemption and closeness to the divine. It is interesting to note that these novelties do not represent just an isolated event. They are the beginning of a journey that leads to the continuation of the Third Temple, a project that carries the expectations of generations. And in the meantime, the world watches with curiosity and, perhaps, a little apprehension. But what exactly does this temple mean to the Jewish people, and how is it being planned? Let's explore this further. The planning of the Third Temple is not a vague idea, but a concrete project with details defined to the millimeter. Imagine architects drawing up plans that strictly follow biblical standards, furniture ready to be used, and even priests selected based on specific lineages. It is like watching a piece of history being built before our eyes, something that combines tradition, faith, and modern technology. For Jews, the Third Temple represents much more than a building. It is a living symbol of the covenant between God and His people. The anticipation is palpable. They believe that, at the end of its construction, the Messiah promised to establish peace and fulfill ancient promises. It is fascinating how something so ancient can generate such current expectation. Isn't it? Even the rehearsals for the presentation ceremonies have already taken place, demonstrating the seriousness of this project. But like every great achievement, there are obstacles in the way. The location of the temple, a sacred space disputed by Jews, Christians, and Muslims, makes everything even more complex. Will the world be ready for the construction of a building that carries so much historical and prophetic weight? The impact goes far beyond architecture. It touches the fibers of the greatest religions on the planet. And this leads us to reflect: what will be the geopolitical implications of this long-awaited work? The Temple Mount, where the Third Temple is to be built, is more than a piece of land. It is a boiling cauldron of religious and historical meanings. Located in Jerusalem, this space is sacred to Jews, Christians, and Muslims, carrying centuries of disputes and emotions. The idea of rebuilding the temple in this disputed location raises questions that go far beyond religion, proposed directly with the spirits of political leaders and communities around the world. It is important to remember that the area is currently home to structures such as the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, 2 of the most revered sites on the island. Any move towards the construction of the Third Temple could be seen as a direct threat by Muslim groups, reigniting long-simmering conflicts. Experts warn that without an extraordinary agreement between Jews and Muslims, a simple attempt to start such a project could inflame regional grievances or even spark global conflicts. However, amidst this complex scenario, a growing question arises. Who could mediate a deal that would balance the two? Interpretation that points to a sacrifice already made and a guaranteed safety. But what exactly do the new red heifers have to do with all this? Let's explore this further. For Christians, the red heifers represent something much greater than just an Old Testament ritual. They symbolize the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, which offered the definitive purification of sins. While in the past the ashes of these heifers were used for temporary purification, the sacrifice of Christ brought eternal redemption. It is like comparing a shadow to what it truly represents. The shadow in soap operas points to the light of the cross. It is interesting to note how this Christian perspective gives new meaning to what was once a ritualistic act. Instead of relying on continuous ceremonies, Christians believe that the death and resurrection of Jesus made the sacrifices of the temple obsolete. This brings a powerful message of direct access to God, without the need for intermediaries. An example of this can be seen in practice. While the ashes purified from physical impurities, Christ offers a complete and definitive spiritual cleansing. This vision not only redefines the meaning of the red tidings, but also changes the way Christians view the construction of the third temple. Instead of worry or fear, there is a confidence that it is all part of a larger plan. It is like a scene in a great movie, where every detail contributes to the final outcome. But it leads us to reflect. How do these prophetic and historical narratives prepare us for the future? Now that you have delved into the details of this fascinating story, we invite you to reflect. How do you see all of this in the context of your own life and symbolically? The red tidings, the third temple, the prophecies. They all seem distant, but deep down they challenge us to think about faith, purpose, and the role that each of us plays in the world. Will we be prepared for the great events that shape history? Or are we still too focused on the small distractions of everyday life? If there is one thing this story teaches us, it is that time does not wait. Just as the Jews prepare for an event that can change everything, perhaps it is time for you to prepare too. What steps can you take today to live with more purpose and alignment with your values? Think about it. After all, what's at stake here is much more than a physical construction. It's about evidence that really matters. And to continue following deep and revealing topics like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you'll always be ahead of the curve, connected to the topics that truly transform your worldview. Until the next video, and may God bless you.